first mistake that I made in building my fractional CFO business here at Fresh FP&A was definitely around the time aspect. I think a lot of professional services, consulting people can relate to this, right? I came in, and when I got my first couple of clients, when I was actually doing Fresh FP&A as a side hustle while I was having a full time job leading high growth finance organizations. I always equated my time to money, right? So any conversations I was having earlier on, even when I went full time in running Fresh FP&A, I always was thinking about it from like an hour perspective, right? I always had this dynamic in my head of thinking about, okay, I'm going to give you this amount of hours and this is my hourly rate, right? And it became earlier on when I was using this as a side hustle, it became really good for me to manage because I would know how much time it would take. I'm like, all right, yeah, I got 4 to 10 hours I'm dedicating a week to this, or maybe I'm putting another 15 to 20, depending upon the project. And I always got into this mindset of equating the value that I was providing based on the time and dollar amount that I was given to prospects and given to my clients at that point. When I got into this full time, I started to figure out that working with clients, you get so much value, and they're learning and they're excited to talk with you. You're starting to see a lot of momentum. You're starting to bring the value. You're starting to really bring the engagement value that you set out with the client. You're starting to see that progress. But then it got to be conversational where it's like clients for me were like looking at the time clock, right? It's like being in a taxi or something, right? Where you're like, oh, 15-minute increments. Or Chris, can we not schedule this for 30 minutes? Or like, I know you scheduled this for an hour, but can we do it down to 30? Or can we do it 15? Or can we do it via email? I really hated that because now you're being contained on the value that you can bring. And I didn't like my clients like looking at the time clock, right? Like only want to do 15-minute periods because they know how much they're spending per hour to have a conversation. And that was one mistake that I made. I had to get out of equating my time to money, right? And how I get out of that is like the value you bring to clients, right? So taking it away from like, here's how much hours, here's how much, the hourly rate is going to be, shifted the conversation to be more focused on the consistent value that Fresh FP&A is going to bring to your organization, right? Here's the weekly updates we're going to have. Here's the models that we're going to update. Here's the strategic projects we're going to look at. Here's the, OKRs that we set out for the business that we're aligned on with your leadership team that we're going to do, right? So taking the conversation to be more of a value and what we're going to do and getting rid of the actual like time clock conversation, that really really was successful. And then also another aspect of that, me coming from the software space, I've loved the kind of residual aspect of the software. For those not familiar with the SaaS based business, a lot of times they sell in either MRR, which are monthly reoccurring, or ARR, which is annual reoccurring revenue contracts, which is like every month you pay the same amount of money, right? Like as long as that technology is giving you the same value and you're leveraging the product and the features that you paid for, you're going to consistently every month get that value out of that software solution. So me having that mindset, I wanted to shift more towards our business to more of that SaaS based kind of value added a month model. So that has been something that I think is really, really important for all of those fractional CFOs out there. Don't equate your time to value. Equate your value to the money that you're tying out to the business. So that was mistake number one.